You're with India Post Live, India's first online news conversation web TV. I'm Ishan Russell, and India Post is, of course, a forum for you to participate in. Comment via social media. Use Twitter, hashtag India Post Live to your tweets, or use our Twitter handle at India Post Live, or you can comment via Facebook, or you can go to our Facebook page called India Post Live and like it and comment over there, or you can go to indiapostlive.com to watch this conversation live. We're streaming this live, and also, of course, there are videos on demand. There are other conversations that we've had, and you can go and watch them and comment upon them. In fact, one of the most popular conversations have always been about cricket, and that is what we're talking about today. Yesterday was a pretty exciting match, sort of a refreshed new Indian team, has been sent to Bangladesh, a very different Indian team. A lot of questions also have been raised about that particular team because the performance yesterday raised several question marks, but then there were some very heartening facts. The comeback of Robin Uthappa after 6 years to one-day cricket. It was really heartening to see. He scored a half century. So a pretty exciting match all in all. Duckworth Lewis finally had to come in and decide the fate, but India won, and so India are one up in the series in Bangladesh. And to discuss that, we have with us, of course, a former cricketer, expert and commentator, and one who wears many hats, and of course is remembered for his cricket performances the most, Chetan Sharma. Thank you very much for coming in, sir. Also, Raman Banod, cricket expert, commentator, is also with us in the studio. And Shamudas Gupta joins us live from Bangalore, from Wisden Cricket. Of course, this is Cricket Caravan powered by Wisden India. Thanks so much, Shamu, for coming in. But Chetan sir, yesterday's match, the big takeaways for India, what would you say?
It's a good performance by India. You believe me, I never thought India will play the way actually the youngsters have played. I still think Bangladesh played on the strength of India because they thought they have a young side, no experience in Indian side. It will be better for them with knowing the conditions, because it's in the middle of rainy season in Bangladesh. With knowing the conditions of their own country, they thought it will be better for them to bat first. But I think so. He made a little mistake because my young Indian side might not be able to score runs. But the youngster, the way Robin Uthappa and Ajinkya Rahane played, it's tremendous. You know, I always say it's a healthy competition in between. If it's a very good competition among you in the side, because everybody knows there is one slot open for England one-day matches, and both the batsmen Robin Uthappa and Ajinkya Rahane is fighting for that place. It's good, healthy competition in the team is always good for any team at all.
All right, but Robin Uthappa, let's talk about him. 50 yesterday. I mean, he seemed in good form, seemed in good touch, and great to see him back in the Indian squad.
Absolutely, and we have been talking about this on this very show earlier as well, Nishan, that Robin Uthappa, he's got form and he's got the touch going right now. So he's trying to make the most of it. If you've noticed what he's doing in his game, he always was one of those batsmen who liked to use his feet and, even against the fast bowlers, come down the track and play those shots in the air. And he's got that natural ability to keep the head very still while he's playing those kind of shots. What he's done now is he's just become a little circumspect. A lot of times you noticed in the past, he used to play a shot too many and gift his wicket away. Now, he's realized the importance of the starts that he's getting, and he wants to make it count. So his shot selection is a little more well thought out than what it used to be.
All right. In fact, we have a graphic up on our screens right now. Shakib Al Hasan versus Robin Uthappa. Both scored 50s, but Robin was much faster and powerful sixes. So he still continues to be a great hitter, Chen sir.
Definitely, yes. And second important thing is Robin Uthappa came into bat with 270 runs on board, 273 to win. And for a youngster, come and bat at that time where you have a huge total in front of you and batting the way Robin batted. Shakib Al Hasan is a great all-rounder. He can fit in any side in the world. He's a brilliant all-rounder. But Robin Uthappa has come back in the Indian side, international scene after 6 years. And we should give him the credit the way he played. And he's been the unlucky one yesterday to be given out. I think so. It was just bat and the umpire gave him out. Sometimes it happens, but he played a good innings of 50.
All right, Shamu, what do you make of the Indian performance yesterday? The positives first, then we'll come to the negatives. I mean, the bowling is certainly a question mark.
Well, quite a few positives actually. To start with, I think Umesh Yadav has been perceived as a test bowler. He's perceived as someone who bowls quick but probably doesn't have that kind of control or the variation to be too successful in limited overs cricket. I think after a few good performances in the IPL, he's done well to start with. I think Parvez Rasool and Akshar Patel, both on their debuts, gave a fairly good account of themselves as backup spinners. They can only improve. Obviously, this was the first opportunity they got, and certainly Robin Uthappa. He's Chetan's the cricketer in this mix, and he'd agree that when someone's in this kind of form, first of all, there's a great boost as far as his confidence is concerned. And this is the time to give them opportunities, because this is when he's probably going to score runs more often than not. What's happened with Robin, I think, is that these naturally talented stroke players, someone like Robin Uthappa, Shikhar Dhawan in his youth, lots of other examples of people who, when they're young, they probably believe that they can do anything. They can just play every shot. Every ball they're trying to do something magical. And the consistency obviously falls, and obviously you can't do that. You can't hit a 4 or 6 of every ball. I think that's where a lot of kids, very talented kids, go wrong. Uthappa certainly hit that purple patch, and this is the time to give them opportunities. But if I can quickly tell you about one negative from this match for India, this is a team on trial. These are players on trial. Immediately after the IPL, putting in players like Raina and Raidu and whoever else was there, getting those few runs from those few balls is never going to be a problem. That's not the concern for India. Chasing 272 in 50 overs with Bangladesh's complement of spinners, that would have been the real task. If they had pulled it off in 50 overs, that would have given us a better idea of how good they are or where they stand vis-a-vis their form.
All right, but Chetan, talk about the pressure role. So, this is a team, this is not the first choice, literally. Many of them are, of course, first choice for India, but not the entire team. So, they must be under tremendous pressure to really perform for that one slot in England, as you're saying.
Yes, there definitely be a tremendous pressure on everybody. And the best part, what I think they started with is change of captaincy. Mahendra Singh Dhoni's thinking and Suresh Raina's thinking with the management. They played with the 5 bowlers. India, you hardly see India playing with the 5 bowlers. And the best part we can see is they're just trying to put one player behind each, the bench strength I'm talking about. They must have spoke to Akshar Patel. You are a good left-hand spinner. You can bat. They wanted a substitute of Ravindra Jadeja. They can see him being developed as a good all-rounder. Same with Rasool behind Ashwin. If you have 11 players playing for the country and the 11 players are ready, can represent any time, that can be the best part. I think so. The way the management has gone in the yesterday's game, it's brilliant, and they have given the entire confidence. And this is what Shamak was saying, if they would have got 273 runs in 50 overs, would have given them more confidence. But at end of the day, as a cricketer, I feel 1-0, you're up in the series. One match you have to win, you will just, clink the series. They started well, and I hope the way Rasool and Akshar Patel bowled yesterday, 10 overs, 60 runs, 2 wickets for Rasool, 1 wicket for Akshar Patel. They will improve. It's not easy for any bowler to come in international cricket and bowl. I've been a bowler, I know. It's very difficult. They will definitely improve. Now, one match up. Next match, you will see Akshar Patel and Rasool be a different bowler altogether.
All right, so the confidence would really be especially after your debut. But let's talk about Umesh Yadav and the Indian bowling. Now, there are a few injury concerns there, Raman. And but talking about Umesh Yadav, we'll in fact put the graphic out also. But talk about his performance yesterday.
I thought he bowled well. The first spell that Mohit Sharma and Umesh Yadav bowled was very good. And a lot of things can be factored in. You can't factor in a cramp to Mohit Sharma. You can't factor in those things like that when you're playing in that kind of heat and humidity. You can't factor in those injuries. And
Umesh also pulled up.
And that's where India, with 2 fast bowlers only in the match, had to use spinners in the death overs. So if you look back, the 49th and the 50th over were bowled by spinners. You had 47th being bowled by Mishra, 49th being bowled by Akshar Patel, the 50th over again being bowled by Mishra. You're not going to see that happening a lot in one-day cricket. But because of the conditions there, the Indians fancied playing 3 spinners and only 2 quicks. And unfortunately, Umesh was expensive in the 48th over that he bowled, went for 14, which I think was the most expensive over in the innings. So they didn't get him back for the 50th over and had Amit Mishra roll his arm over.
So talk about Umesh. I mean, he obviously has been sort of the new wave of Indian bowling, so to say, pace bowling. But I mean, talk about his performance yesterday.
He bowled very well. He started off very well. I got initial 2 wickets. This is what Raman just was talking about, 14 runs. If you just take that 14 runs out, I think so he bowled the best. That 1 over, three boundaries in that over, it happens. It do happens because we should not forget Bangladesh is a very good side. Very good side with full strength of India. They've beaten Indian side in so many number of times actually, and with youngsters going and performing, 272 runs. I still feel 25 runs, little more. They should have been restricted to 242, between 240 250. Very easier for this young side to chase. But 272 with Douglas Lewis coming in the play, end of the day you won the game. But Umesh Yadav, I think he bowled the best. He's given you the breakthroughs. Very important. If you have 3 spinners in the side, if your opening bowlers give you the breakthrough, 1 or 2 wickets, then it's easier for any spinner to come and bowl. And without forgetting, we had 2 spinners who were playing their first games.
All right, and let's talk about them. Yeah.
Yeah, and the other part, what Chetan's made a very valid point. If those early wickets hadn't come through, India would have been under the pump. It was a very accurate opening spell by Mohit and Umesh both. I thought Tamim Iqbal was a little unlucky to be given out caught behind. It was again a day of howlers for the umpires yesterday. I thought that was a marginal call. But we talked about Robin Uthappa, getting a bad leg before decision. I thought with Tamim, he had bat hit the pad, not the ball, and he was given out caught behind. Had he stayed on, that's what, cricket's like life. You can plan given your current situation, but you cannot do anything about the unforeseen events which will happen in life, which happen in cricket. And Duckworth was which Shamu also raised the point that chasing 273 for a win in 50 overs would have been a slightly greater challenge for the Indians because that middle order looked thin. And the way the Indians lined up their batting order, I thought full credit to Uthappa and Ajinkya for getting us the start that we got. Because number 3 you had Pujara, at 4 Ambati Raidu, and Raina had been pushed down to 5 just to strengthen that somewhat rickety looking order in case things went down to the wire in the chase, because he's the only guy who's got experience for you.
This is what Raman, if you remember before the game, we did the program. I was a little worried about Cheteshwar Pujara, because I just said if I would be the captain, I might not give him the chance. But I don't know what the selectors are thinking ahead of Australia, like they're talking about the World Cup, Pujara coming in on the wickets like England and Australia. But I still think there's so much of time left and so many one-day international to be played. If we introduce a youngster who is a one-day specialist in place of Cheteshwar Pujara, he will be far experienced to play the World Cup, instead of trying Cheteshwar Pujara, who is actually a test batsman. The way he struggled after, as soon as the match started again, the ball started turning, he was struggling a lot. But that is the only point, a weakness I could see. If they have a change there, it can be a tough side to beat, because if Raina comes and bat number 3 and then you put a genuine batsman in the middle order, can be a different scenario altogether.
All right, Shamu, is Cheshwar Pujara the weak link in this Indian squad? And talk about Parvez Rasool as well. I mean, 2 wickets on debut.
I missed the second part of your question, Ishan,
about
Cheteshwar Pujara being...
Yeah, I was talking about Parvez Rasool and his 2 wickets.
Pujara being the weak link. I think it's universally sort of accepted that he's not a typical limited overs batsman. So why is he being persisted with though? He's being persisted with because of a very specific concern the Indian think tank has vis-a-vis the Indian batsmen succeeding first in England and then in the lead up to the World Cup. In Australia and New Zealand during the World Cup, or even before that when we play abroad, we are not going to score 350 in every match. That's out of the window. That's not the equation. The equation is probably to score around 250, 260, 270. Those often become winning totals. Usually, I mean, anything could happen, but ordinarily you're probably looking at 270, 280. You have all those stroke players, whether it's Shikhar Dhawan or Robin Uthappa or Ajinkya Rahane or Suresh Raina, whoever else is there, Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli. They are the stroke players. You need that pivot. You need that fulcrum around which those batsmen must play their strokes. You need someone to be there. You know the kind of role Cheteshwar Pujara was, for example, playing for Kings 11 Punjab initially, when Glenn Maxwell and the others were, hitting 90 of 30 balls. He was scoring 40 and 40 balls, but he was doing the job. He was holding that innings together. Now, if you accept that as the reason for Cheteshwar Pujara's inclusion in the one-day setup, then he's not a weak link. Of course, he didn't have a good run yesterday. He got 5 balls, scored a duck, and that will happen. He's trying to find his feet in a format that's not really made for him, or that he's not made for the format, whichever way you want to look at it. But he needs to be persisted with, because he's part of a strategy. Therefore, he must get a chance to at least fail. He must be given a chance to fail before you drop him and go back to maybe plan A, which is to have the batting order that you've played with against visitors when they've come to India or playing in the subcontinent, or that played in the Champions Trophy, which India won. So you can go back to that, of course, but why not try this out? It is a weak link if you're chasing 350 or you're trying to score 300, but not a weak link if your ambitions are slightly different.
All right, would you agree with that, Raman? I mean, is he the new Rahul Dravid? That is what the Indian think tank has in mind?
I just have a thought here. I mean, we discussed this on the last show as well, that probably Cheteshwar Pujara is being looked at as the fulcrum for England, and then the World Cup later in Australia. What Chetan said here, and I do agree with Chetan, that instead of Pujara, who's really a test specialist, why don't we get a one-day player who's more suited to the format, who actually becomes plays the role of the fulcrum? And that's where I feel a player like Ajinkya Rahane, you look back at how he performed in South Africa.
He also scored a
test
50
matches.
yesterday.
In the test matches, you look back at how he batted there, got a 90 odd in one test, was amongst runs throughout the series. He looked compact, looked technically correct, and ever since he was dropped from the one-day squad and he's now made a comeback, he's looked hungrier for runs, and he's got the technique also.
And another thing, Raman, if your all 8 players come back, do you have a place for Cheteshwar Pujara in the first game? No. If with a chance you want Cheteshwar Pujara, I might play with Gautam Gambhir or Robin Uthappa. Like if we say, okay, Gautam has just come in the test matches, he's not there for the one days. Anybody and everybody will trust Gautam Gambhir or Robin Uthappa more than Cheteshwar Pujara. Why can't we push these guys? Why can't we push Manoj Tiwari in? Because they are the one-day specialists. Manoj Tiwari, I don't know his future, but at the present he looks like the selectors are concentrating on him only for one days and 2020, not for test matches. Why don't we push youngsters? Give them the confidence. Go and get runs, because with a chance, if the West Indies coming after India tour and suddenly we have 5 months to Australia, we want to give breaks to our main guys, we put these guys again. Instead of investing on Cheteshwar and wasting 3, 4, 5 one-day international, we can give a chance to a youngster and he will be ready to play for the country anytime.
And talking about Manoj Tiwari, the last one day I think he played for India, he got 100 and never played again because he got injured and then got dropped.
This is what I'm saying, Raman.
Yeah.
You have to give chance to youngsters.
But it's a tough choice. I mean, is India spoiled for choice right now? We seem to have suddenly got a plethora of good batsmen. I remember a time in the 90s when there was a batsman wanted sign outside the Indian dressing room.
But still, you have so many good batsmen. Actually, Ajinkya Rahane is not a permanent feature in one days. You don't have Gautam Gambhir at the present. I'm talking about last 1 year or so. Gautam Gambhir is not a part of the real one-day internationals. Then you Robin Uthappa there. Even you got all these guys like fighting for the place in Indian side. Where do Cheteshwar Pujara stands? This is my question. As a cricketer in test matches, if we talk about test matches, number one name comes was Cheteshwar Pujara. But he's brilliant in that. But why to make somebody, push somebody if we have better alternatives?
How would it be affecting his mind? Because I'm sure you would have also been in this position taking those decisions about whether I continue with one day, should I focus more on test. How difficult would it be for Cheteshwar Pujara to handle all this?
He has to mold himself into one day international. There will be a lot of pressure because everybody wants to play one day international, because the more cricket at the present being played in about 40 to 45 one day international being played by India, and where you might be playing only 7 to 8 test matches. After that 7 to 8 test matches means 40 odd days of cricket. The rest of the time either you have to go and play domestic cricket or you just keep waiting for IPL. For Cheteshwar Pujara, I'm saying that's the reason every player wants to come in one day international. Like you are with the team all the time and different formats. different formats of cricket you are playing, because people do give you the example of Rahul Dravid. That, like, we can't compare Cheteshwar Pujara with Rahul Dravid. And Rahul Dravid came in and become one of the best batsmen in one days also. It can happen, but and I still think Raman needs a lot of time. You have to invest so much on Cheteshwar Pujara, where India doesn't have time. The World Cup is round the corner, and instead of Cheteshwar Pujara, we can try on somebody else.
And it's not just about just the World Cup alone, which is of course the first line of sight that you've got, the first target in line of sight. But the fact is that, do you have better players who are more suited to the format, who are not finding a place in the playing 11, and you're sacrificing them to get a Cheteshwar Pujara to fit into your plans? Can one of the existing players mold his style of play to be the fulcrum around which India revolves? In one-day cricket right now, with all the regulars back, it's Virat Kohli who's the fulcrum of your team. Your entire batting order revolves around Virat, who bats at number 3. So where do you want Cheteshwar Pujara to fit in?
Yeah,
the opener slot?
With a chance,
Then,
like something Raman goes wrong, or like in Virat Kohli's performance in World Cup, touchwood, nothing goes happen. I'm just giving you a small example. Are you going to make him sit out? No chance. He will play till the World Cup is over. And at that slot, nothing better than we have like Virat Kohli. So why are we investing on Cheteshwar Pujara? Tell him to concentrate. We should have sent him to England before. I said, go and play. We have 5 test matches. Go and get used to the conditions.
To Australia for a year.
And let him go earlier to England, and let him go ahead and adjust himself for the test match. Get ready for the test matches instead of I won't say waste time, but like struggling here on Asian wickets.
All right, I mean, and many cricketers' careers have been really put in jeopardy by such decisions, management decisions often, as they say. But Chetan sir, talk about the 2 young discoveries for India yesterday in the spin department. Parvez Rasool, of course, one of them, taking 2 wickets on debut.
I'm very happy with Rasool, you believe me or not, because this youngster showed the confidence. On his first game, he flighted the ball. He was not scared of flighting the ball. That's very important, because on the first game, if you've been hit for a 6, suddenly you start bowling flattish deliveries, which he never did. He got wickets. 10 over 60 runs on debut. I don't think so. I will count it bad. I will say good. And same with Akshar Patel, because this is what Raman was saying. It's not easier for any youngster on his first match to come and bowl in the power play overs and basically in the end. Because when I played my first international game, I remember in 1983, your captain's thinking was to make sure Chetan finishes his 10 overs as soon as possible, because you don't want to discourage a youngster. It's not easy for Akshar Patel to come and bowl 48th over. Okay, because we are short of, we just had 2 bowlers and the wickets is suitable for spinners. But according to me, both had a very good debut. Next game, they will be totally different bowlers altogether.
Right, talk about
I tell you what, not many bowlers would have wanted to be in Chetan Sharma's shoes at the time he made his debut. Because
Yes, of course.
he made his debut. No, I'll tell you why. Because he made his debut when India, hosted the West Indies after India had beaten West Indies in the World Cup final, and then West Indies toured India. And Chetuba, that's when you made your debut.
They thrashed us.
And the West Indian batsmen were
finished us.
starting when they came here. They said, okay, we're going to teach the Indians a lesson. So a lot of bowlers were sent to the cleaners.
They have
They
had
actually
tough
taught,
debuts.
they taught us the lessons, because the 90% of the team which won the World Cup was like been dropped. All the youngsters were pushed in. And
no, but then we got one of the all-time greats like you coming out of that series, so it was a pleasure. But Chetan sir, talk about Suresh Raina's captaincy is one of the closing comments. We'll leave it at that. So Suresh Raina's captaincy and the temperament that you've seen with this young Indian side.
I'm very happy with Suresh Raina that he insisted with 5 bowlers. That's very important for Indian cricket. And his main idea is like he's not scared. Like we can do in between us, like 6 batsmen. I'm talking about number 5 Raina yesterday's thing, and then Saha had come. And then he must have spoke to Akshar Patel and Rasool. Rasool got a lot of runs in domestic cricket. He got double 100. I think Raman was talking about that day. He got double 100. Akshar Patel got a lot of runs playing for Gujarat. And if the captain goes and talk to the youngsters, okay, they might be your first match. You are a bowler batsman. You come and do good in bowling, but I want you to contribute at least 20-25 runs. That's the reason you get a chance to play for the country. I'm ready for that.
And I like what Chetan said, because Akshar Patel's gone on record to say I was a batsman first and a bowler later. But now I'm being looked at as a bowler who can bat a bit. So that's the way it is. And I think Raina captained well. The other thing is, a lot of times you want that safety cushion. So, you would want to play either Stuart Binney or some other fast bowler. Say, okay, I'm only playing with 2 quicks. What were to happen if one were to get injured? Because it was hot, it was humid. And that's what happened. You had Mohit Sharma pulling up with cramps. Umesh Yadav was struggling in the heat. You still said, okay, fine, I take my chances. My spinners can do the job. And you had the slower bowlers bowling a majority of the last 5 overs.
Plus he
So
came and
gutsy
bowled
decisions.
himself.
Yeah.
He came and bowled himself.
So gutsy decisions. Final word, Chetan sir, as far as Bangladesh is concerned, take away for them, and do we see the Bangladeshi Tigers come back, spring a surprise in India?
They have everything to lose, nothing to gain. And Indian youngsters have everything to gain, nothing to lose. Because India has already won up there. They just need one game, and they have to come and beat India. And the weatherman is not confident that both the games will finish up or not. But still, I think so. It's a good start for India, good confidence for Indian side, and the losers will be Rahim and the company, because they were the only one who shouting, why didn't India send the main team? If they can't beat the second 11, what about the first 11 then?
Final word, Raman.
Well, I'd say their chances are best if the game goes the full distance of 50 overs. Because the way Uthappa and Ajinkya Rahane batted, I think they set the tone. And unless they get past those top 2, you can't really expose the chink in the inexperienced middle order for the Indian batting. So that's the key. You can't do that in 20 overs, you can't do that in 25 overs. You'd want to play the full 50. So unless the game goes the full distance, I don't really fancy Bangladesh pulling it off.
And plus, they have to play on their strength, not on Indian strength. Because if their strength, I know their strength is spinners. They spinner. If they restrict India on a low score, they can easily chase, because Bangladesh are very good chasers. I've seen it in so many games. They have chased tremendous totals. And I don't know why but they're just thinking like Indian youngsters can't chase. I think so. Rahim and the company should play on their strength, not on anybody else's strength.
All right, so don't underestimate the underdog.
You can never in international cricket. You can't underestimate even.
Imagine India is the underdog to
but in this
Bangladesh.
series, I don't know who the underdog really is.
All right, on that note, we'll wrap it up. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming in. Chetan sir, it was a pleasure having you and Raman as well. And thanks so much, Shamu, for coming in with the wise words from wisdom. Thank you so much for joining us. Well, that was a little presentation on the India-Bangladesh first match. Of course, the next match will be coming up soon, and we'll be talking about that as well. But thanks so much for watching.